And that's Anne.
And this is Anne. And welcome to the first episode of our unnamed podcast on Degrassi, a show that I have grown up with. I am Mary's older sister. Mary has not grown up with this. Yeah. She has passing familiarity with it, especially as I think you said some of the later season 10, maybe Eli, Claire characters.
Who Eli and Claire are. I had never seen an episode. The thing is, when we're at the beach, Anne and Emily just kept talking about it all the time, so I got familiar with the names. And Crelly, I know Anne does not ship it, Emily does, but recently her opinions have switched as she begins this rewatch. So I know the names, but I don't know the show.
All right. And I can't wait until much later on when we can discuss all that is Eli and Claire. I know that everyone in Degrassi, who's watched Degrassi that made it up to that point, has plenty of opinions on Eli and Claire. And I'm sure most people have plenty of opinions on Craig and Ellie as well. But essentially the reason we've started this is because, unlike Mary, I have grown up with this show Degrassi, which, similar... For those of you watching at home who don't know me well, one of my favorite passions, really only passions in life, is 2000s teen drama. I've seen a fair bit of Dawson's Creek, all of the OC multiple times, more than One Tree Hill than I really wanted to sit through because that one was rough, but it's okay. Glee, I've seen more of Glee than was good to sit through as well. I've seen some Buffy just because of this one's a big Buffy fan.
It's not the same type of show.
But
okay, and I can make a whole episode on how Buffy is a bit different. And I'm not even saying I dislike those shows. I like Gilmore Girls, I like the OC, but they're not the same thing as Buffy.
Well, I've seen some Buffy. I've seen Skins, Gilmore Girls, but there's one show in particular that defined my middle high school experience, and that is Degrassi. Degrassi is a bit special. It's a bit different than all these shows. It's a bit better than all these shows. It's better than the best show I've ever seen ever, Gilmore Girls. It's better than that. And Mary knows that means a lot because I'm someone who, just spends hours on end just staring at Gilmore Girls gifs and writing long posts about Gilmore Girls and ranting and sometimes crying about Gilmore Girls. But Degrassi is the first show that really introduced me to what it means to be obsessed with television. And Degrassi is a bit different than all these other teen shows, which I'm sure Mary realized a bit as she started watching it. For one, unlike Gossip Girl, the OC, it's not very glamorous. It's just mostly teenagers kind of just acting like teenagers. For two, so the history of Degrassi, just to provide some context. We start out with these shows, Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High from the 80s and 90s. There's, I think, 5 seasons in there. Then about 10 years later, we have a jump to the show that I grew up with, Degrassi, The Next Generation. And they build a bridge with, I guess, one of the characters from Degrassi High had a child, Emma. And so we're introduced to Emma and her world, essentially. That's what the first episodes of Degrassi The Next Generation are, and we grow into seeing this whole new Degrassi community school over the course of 14 seasons. That's 14 seasons. That's a lot, and keep in mind that the show not only did it stretch out Emma, Paige, Spinner, Cray, Ashley, Manny, okay, I forgot Manny, all those characters for about 7-8 seasons. It started in season 7, introducing a ton of new characters. Then in season 10, it introduced a ton more new characters and totally revamped the show to be essentially completely embrace the soap opera element with showing a new episode every night over the summer through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. So it was actually a full-on soap opera for teenagers. And those seasons have upward of 40 episodes. So not only do we have 5 seasons of 80s, 90s Degrassis, we have 14 seasons of Degrassi The Next Generation, clocking in at 385 episodes, The Next Generation. And now there's a show I have not seen called Degrassi Next Class, which has 40 episodes. So this is not just a television show. This is an institution. This is a Canadian institution that has educated all of the wonderful fans on every single issue any teenager could possibly ever go through, including to things like being addicted to meth for 2 days. What are some other really, I think there's a hoarding episode. They cover every possible thing that could ever happen ever. And they try to, at least in the beginning, have important morals about that, while also being as dramatic as possible, which makes it awesome and unique. So it was important to me to introduce my younger sister of a younger generation to this unique, wonderful phenomenon, Degrassi, the next generation. And we're going to focus here on seasons, I guess, 1 through 7, and bop around. Yep, they're short stop. Bop around those before I guess we get into the whole different world of the boiling point, shark in the water, Eli, Claire, Cam, Maya. It's a whole different story. We're talking about the old school stuff. And so, Mary, before we get into our episode review for this one, this episode we just watched was Tears Are Not Enough, the season 2 finale, which is named after a song, and all episodes are named after 80s songs. I don't know this one, and neither does Mary, but I'm sure it's rockin', just like the episode. But before we get into that, Mary, you'd seen a couple episodes already, and what were your impressions on those first episodes you'd seen?
Well, I thought the show was a bit juvenile. I think there's this disconnect between me and particularly my older sisters. My older sisters started watching this when they were younger, and also as a different generation of TV. It was very High School Musical. I feel like nowadays we watch things and it's not so focused for the teenager. Teenagers generally watch adult things and kids watch the teen things. And I feel like if I had discovered Degrassi, if they made me watch it in middle school, I probably loved Degrassi. The whole issue was our middle sister Emily was always like, "This is inappropriate for me to watch on just about any TV show." And so it was never my intent to watch Degrassi. So I think at this point it's just a bit juvenile to me. However, it makes you happy, and this is also how I'm convincing Anne to watch Stranger Things because I think Stranger Things is great. So I can tolerate Degrassi, which I can say there are other shows I just cannot tolerate. So it's a good middle 5 out of 10.
Okay, 5 out of 10. So right now, I guess she can tolerate it. Interesting. Hopefully, over the course of the next couple of episodes, we can get from 5 out of 10 juvenile tolerated to yes, the show is better than Mad Men and Breaking Bad.
I don't watch either of those shows.
But you'll know that it's better because you'll like it that much. So hopefully we can convince Mary that this was a better time in the early 2000s before, I guess, kids watched the 100 or whatever it is they watch.
I haven't watched that one since 6th grade.
I did like how you mentioned, I guess, that this is inappropriate. One of the other unique things about Degrassi is they are actually all teenagers. They are not like on the OC where they're like beautiful 27-year-olds or Gossip Girls, especially egregiously bad about that. One Tree Hill sometimes too. They're not like very, very fabulous, glamorous, jet-setting teens that are played by people in their 30s, like on Pretty Little Liars. They're just teenagers who act like teenagers. At the same time, every single insane thing ever happens to them over the course of these 14 seasons. So you have a very, very interesting specific dynamic and demographic. And I think the episodes you'd seen, well, I remember the names, you probably don't, but I memorized these. We saw a couple of season 4 episodes before Time Stands Still. We saw, what was it? Oh, we actually saw Weddings, Parties, Anything, classic Craig relationship drama. I don't know if Mary even remembers that episode, but we saw it. We saw Islands in the Stream, where Mary was introduced to Spinner, who she kept calling Skipper. And Mary, what were your thoughts on Spinner Skipper?
The first thing I said was, "I hate this Skipper punk."
Yeah, so we saw the episode where Spinner and Paige break up because he's really acting like a douche. And we saw an episode where we were introduced to Ellie and Sean, and that was one of my OTPs back in the day. And Ellie's house is on fire, and Sean's helping her out, and she buys a ferret. It was awesome, right?
Out of the episodes, that one probably was my favorite.
Yeah. And then today we saw 3 more episodes. We saw a very famous episode of Degrassi called Mercy Street, where Emma, you finally met Emma. What were
yes.
What were your thoughts on Emma and her adventure here, just in short?
Well, I feel like Emma, I didn't delve as much into her character because it was very much also a Rick episode. It's playing off that dynamic, which I don't think could make the strongest dynamic. So yeah, I think I still have a road to go to really meet Emma.
Yeah, we need to learn more about Emma. She in that episode is in having a moral quandary related to someone who's returned to Degrassi. And there's also a whole nother very, very serious, relatable issue about JT wants to date a girl that dated Craig, and he just can't measure up to Craig. It's understandable. JT is understandably really concerned about that.
I don't get how the people of Degrassi come up with these things. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what age. Like, I can't figure out how old their screenwriters are that they're like, this is what a teen's thinking.
I think the screenwriters are adults. There's a show.
I got that.
There's a show Skins that actually, which is some people say it's the British Degrassi. I don't think it's anything like Degrassi, because on Skins they're just constantly at like raves with like these like crazy emo things they're saying, on drugs every episode, just like constantly swearing, and like it's not like Degrassi. I don't know why people say Skins is like Degrassi, because it's not. But that show is actually, a lot of the writers were in teenagers still, or very like young, like 20-year-olds. So maybe that'd be an interesting comparison once. This is just supposed to be like, what's every feeling a teenage boy and girl has had. One of them might be concerns they can't measure up, I guess. But that's what we saw. We'd seen those episodes, and then I said, well, we've got to do season 1 and 2. And Mary, I think this is where you were really concerned that it would be juvenile.
Yes, well, because you told me you would never make me watch an episode from season 1 or season 2 because it was that bad, and then you said we're watching season 2.
I did not say it was that bad.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so seasons 1 and 2 are really playing off old school Degrassi, which was really, I think, purely focused on the edutainment, and really want to be like, the characters are middle schoolers in season 1. In season 2, there's 9th graders and 8th graders, and once again, they don't act like the 9th graders on like Riverdale. They act like actual 9th graders, or maybe even more like 8th graders sometimes. They're 8th and 9th graders. The drama is low. Finally, Craig is really the only one. You know, before Craig goes, there's no drama on the show. The things change when Ashley takes ecstasy, then Craig appears, and then the show gets for real. But we're still like waiting in. So I thought, and the furthest I should go back with Mary is the season 2 finale. Tears are not enough. And Mary had met Craig before when he got in a fight with Spinner, and when he doesn't know whether to date Manny or Ellie. But aside from that, you don't know him that well. And so we got to know a little more about Craig this episode.
Yes, we got the history of Craig.
And do you want to give a brief summary of the episode before we go into it, if you want to? Or not, I can.
Let's see if I remember.
I hope you remember.
Well, I
took notes because I thought she would forget.
I was trying to figure out which is part 1 and part 2, because we have
first part.
Oh, well, you're not even letting me try. Okay, fine. Craig sees his abusive father again, and JT. Oh, you didn't write that very well. JT, who's this really annoying character, is forced to date Liberty, who's another annoying character, because Liberty will only tutor him if he will be her date.
With classic 8th grade fiasco.
And then the second half of the episode, Craig's dad dies. So we see the coping mechanisms of Craig. And the B plot was, it was who was going to be at the luau, who's going to be the luau king and queen. Also, you wrote that pretty poorly.
Well, all right. So, yeah. The important stuff this episode is about Craig and Craig's feelings about his family and his life. And then we also have some drama about what's going to happen at the luau dance. And will these Canadians know what a beach and a luau looks like?
The answer is no.
So that's 100% intense. We'll answer those questions. I guess, Mary, you said you like to maybe say what your overall impression or rating of the episode was before we get into the specifics. Is that what you'd like to do? Is that what Shortstop would like to do?
Sure. Right. I thought this episode was very similar. I think that Terry actress is very bad at acting. I know that is mean to say, but she was kind of like a robot there. I think I didn't understand if Paige was supposed to be sunburnt or if Canadians thought that was a tan, because it really wasn't. It's hard for me to remember because we watched these back to back, which is part 1, which is
part 2. They're a 2-parter. We watched them back to back.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't want to like mess. I think the JT plot was really stupid. And I think Craig and Ellie are still my favorite characters, so I'm glad we watched a Craig.
And just to clarify, so Ellie, the redhead, who we haven't spoken about her yet, she doesn't really appear in this episode.
That was one of my comments was poor Ellie. Everyone, she's got to wear this random outfits. Like, that's terrible looking. TBH. I would be so sad if I was Ellie and I found out that was my wardrobe.
All right, so you're basically not into the more comedic B-plot characters with the Paige, Spinner, Gibberty, JT Liberty. There will be a lot happens with JT and Liberty.
Oh, great.
Great. Get ready.
Yeah, and those are the characters I don't like, actually. I think you just listed all the characters I don't like.
All right, but yeah, Craig definitely brings some of the more interesting and powerful episodes, especially in the early seasons. You made a point at one point mocking his acting, but my response was he was definitely by far the best actor.
Oh no, I wasn't mocking him. I just don't think he just had the most dramatic part out of all the episodes I've seen so far. They trusted him with his acting.
They trusted him.
Which was very much better than Terry.
Yeah, maybe they would not have trusted Terry. Poor Terry. She was pouring her heart out.
No, she wasn't.
But you had to come before I say my initial impression. You had to comment on the theme song.
My final comment is on the theme song, and let me say that the music very bad sounding. It's a very bad sounding chorus, and then you got that stupid email going all over the place, and then it ends with a picture of a girl's butt.
So we all agree the theme song is iconic and great, and we see this amazing cell phone that's like not even a Nokia. It's like pre-Nokia. I don't even know what this cell phone is that this girl is talking to, and then outside of her, the back of her jeans is the icon for Degrassi Community School. And there's this beautiful, inspiring song that will inspire us all in our own lives.
It's what the name's after our YouTube channel. And so, Anne, we're going to leave the floor to you. What do you think of Degrassi?
All right, so awesome theme song. I will say the season 1, season 2 theme song is very, very happy, very cheesy, which usually works until there's some episodes that are like depressing, and then it jumps into the most bubbly song. Like this episode opens with Craig very, very worried, very, very concerned about seeing his dad again, and suddenly like Emma's writing an email and it's screaming whatever it takes. So that's interesting. But I don't know. Craig is definitely one of the better characters on the show. So Mary, you might be aware from the one episode we watched with Manny and Ellie, but many a Degrassi chick has fallen for him. Because we've seen Ashley this episode too is also into him. Many a Degrassi fan has fallen for him. His episodes tend to get better. This episode, not when we watched it together, but when I watched it another time, it made me cry multiple times. So I don't know why you're laughing because it's very emotional, but I did cry. And the B plots were fine. I didn't really have thoughts on them. I thought seeing the Spinner Jimmy Beckering's always funny. JT Liberty, Mary, you might not be aware of this, but JT is like a huge fan favorite in the show. I don't know why. I think he's so annoying. But he's a huge fan favorite. And JT Liberty, Liberty is Liberty. And I don't really have any thoughts on that. But yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes of season 2, probably along with, and I haven't rewatched most of season 2. I don't remember all of it, but I would say from what I remember, my favorites were this episode, the opening, which is When Doves Cry, the other Craig episode. And then there's an episode where Ashley gets bullied for taking ecstasy and goes goth, which I liked. Everything else I don't really remember. So yeah, this is a good episode to me. And I'd agree with Mary that it trends younger than, shows like, even like the OC that want. This is more about growing up, I think. It trends younger. But, so let's just jump into episode 1, part 1.
I'm going to say something right now. So we're either going to have to get our account to